Barriers to Intercultural Communication by Shannon R.C. There are 6 barriers of intercultural communication. These are anxiety, assuming similarity instead of difference, ethnocentrism, stereotypes and prejudice, nonverbal misinterpretations, and language. In my life, I would say that the ones that I have the most problem with is ethnocentrism, stereotypes and prejudice, nonverbal misinterpretations, and language. I've always lived in Arlington, Texas. I've never lived anywhere else, so I haven't had a lot of communication with other cultures other than here and who I meet here. Um, I have a lot of anxiety when meeting new people, so I can understand that if you are coming from a different culture into what we feel as is the culture here in the United States, that would be very high anxiety, and that would create a barrier that would be really hard to get through. I myself have a hard time, as I said, relating to other cultures because I haven't really been around them. I haven't had that experience with other cultures like I wish I had. Stereotypes and prejudice, they seem to happen whether we want them to or not. We see all the time now in the news, the media, profiling and such, which is a type of stereotype. I believe that a lot of times we look at someone and we automatically feel that we know something about that person that in reality we really don't know, and we're stereotyping them, and we already have this whole situation in our head, how that person will be, how they will speak, how they will act. And most of the time we're wrong, because unless we really know that person's situation or really know that person's culture, we have no way of actually knowing anything about that person. Language, I only speak English, and I wish I had that I knew another language so that I was able to communicate with other people better. Mostly here in Texas, it would be really smart to know Spanish because there is so many Spanish-speaking people. My father-in-law, Spanish is his first language, and it's hard for us to communicate because I only know English and he knows minimal English. Nonverbal misinterpretations, I think this happens a lot because the way we act here in the United States, in our culture, non-verbally is sometimes completely different from the way other cultures non-verbally interact. Which leads me to my next slide here, misunderstandings. When we're dealing with people from other cultures, there are a lot of misunderstandings that sometimes we do not understand, and that leads us a little bit more into ethnocentrism because we are not understanding why they're not understanding us, and it's because they've never had to deal with the way that we are here. And for example, in this slide, when we go to shake someone's hand, someone else may bow and act differently. The personal space, more people, that's proxemics and how we feel here in the United States, how that should be respected. And a lot of times that we have those misunderstandings, and both cultures, neither culture knows really how to act from there. And nonverbal communication, I have a hard time with nonverbal communication, hence the PowerPoint instead of video. But we need to look at that. We need to respect the proxemics and space and also haptics with touch, because a lot of people in different cultures are not so touchy-feely as we are. And then there's the opposite where they may hug and kiss, and we see that as a little odd in some of our cultures here in the United States, where in other cultures that's how they greet one another. Artifactual communication is another thing. I think that personally, I think it's a good thing because we're able to look at someone and see that they are of a different culture than us, and that we should respect them and try to understand them a little better. And we see those signs of how to do that by maybe what they're wearing or some kind of clothing, something like that gives us a bit of an example of that they are of a different culture than us and that we should try to find out more about them rather than stereotype them and such.